Hello, my name is Rowena Paraan. I currently work at ABS-CBN. I handle a program called Bayan, Ipatrol. This is the citizen journalism platform wherein ordinary citizens are the ones who do reports about community concerns. Then I also handle the public service platform which is called Lingkod, Kapamilya. Both Bayan, Ipatrol and Lingkod, Kapamilya do some level of advocacy work. Bayan, Ipatrol, for example, was born in 2007 as part of an advocacy on voters' education. So yung mobilizing champions for communication is actually an old strategy that is used by a lot of organizations. I don't know exactly what the structure of BARM is and how many units are engaged in communication work. But communication really is the work of the entire organization. Whatever words are said or actions done by people who are perceived as representing that organization or involved in that organization actually form part of the communication work. So, napakahalaga, in one sense, it makes the job easier because you have a lot of people who can help you if they are conscious of this. But on another hand, it also makes the work hard because you cannot control what people say or do, especially if it's a large number of people. Pero yung maganda, you can ask for help. You can mobilize people outside the organization to help out. And these are what we call champions. So when we say champions, we are not talking about singing champions or boxing champions, mga winners ng contest, but people who support and advocate together with the organizations. So, lalo-lalo na sa CSO, sa mga civil society organizations, napakahalaga ng mobilization of champions. Why do we need champions? Kasi meron silang practical na tulong na nagagawa. Unang-una is you are able to disseminate information with their help much faster and wider ang reach. And then, of course, yung pinakamalaking pwedeng maiambag ng champions is yung credibility. Kasi having people talk about BARM or talk about the issues or projects in itself is a testament. Yung mismo may ibang mga tao na tumutulong sa iyo mag-convey ng message that you want to say is already a testament na okay yung project, okay yung BARM, okay yung sinasabi nila because these are people repeating or advocating the same thing. So champions can be groups or they can be individuals. There are not only those who have shown interest, but they are those who are willing to go the extra mile to help. They have the same advocacy or they believe in the same ideals. Yung champions are not necessarily always personalities, Of course, maganda yung mga personalities kasi may following na yan, may added value yung credibility nila. But let's also not dismiss yung mga ordinary people na naniniwala din and also have been consistent. Halimbawa sa media, we covered, for example, young PMA graduates. And then ngayon, nasa mga key positions na sila sa military. So, mas mabilis yung access kasi mas kilala mo sila, mas madali yung coverage. In the same way, may mga people who believe in the same advocacy, who believe in the same ideas, na kahit hindi sila malaki yung clout, katulad ng mga personalities, pero eventually, they may move up the ladder and mas malaki yung matutulong kung ma-maintain mo sila as your champions. Meron yung mga tinatawag na all-season champions, yung talagang buong-buo yung suporta, na hindi siya simpleng para lang sa isang issue. Because you also have issue-based champions, Maganda kasing ma-differentiate yon kasi iba yung maaasahan mo dito sa isang klase at iba rin yung maasahan mo dun sa isang klase. You have, for example, champions who would advocate only for a certain issue, tapos deadma siya dun sa ibang usapin. Willing siyang magsalita, willing siyang tumulong, mag-volunteer kapag ang pinag-uusapan ay itong ganitong usapin. On the other hand, there are those na dahil buong buo yung paniniwala nila dun sa organization, sa BARM for example, or sa isang NGO or even government, that they would be very outspoken, very active in anything that the organization is involved in. So maganda yung all-time, pero malaki rin yung tulong ng mga issue-based champions. Ngayon, ang mahalaga is alam natin kung saan sila nanggagaling. Mahalagang maintindihan natin bakit ganon yung posisyon nila. This is helpful in order for us to maintain that relationship. Yung ganong pagtulong, yung ganong pakikiisa dun sa mga ideas that are being espoused. How do you mobilize champions? I would just like to give an example from personal experience. No? I used to be the head of a national organization of journalists, and we have a set of directors and officers, pero lahat ay full-time journalists. I was actually the only one who was working full-time for the organization. So, ang daming trabaho, ang daming gagawin. There's always an issue to respond to. Then, dumating yung time mo that a national figure, I won't say his name, decided to file a series of libel cases against journalists. So, 42 yung sinampahan ng lahat ng criminal libel. It was obvious from our perspective na harassment yung intention. So, how do you respond to that issue? The best way was to get people to act on it, na hindi lang yung organization, hindi lang ikaw or your fellow officers, but get the rest of the media community to campaign against it, to talk about it, and then involve others who may be interested in the same issue. So, ang pagka tiningnan natin, people who worked on the issue can be grouped into two. No? Yung una, the members of the Philippine media community. So, who are this? The journalists who were charged. So, yung 42. At saka yung sarili-sarili nilang newspapers and radio stations and other broadcast stations. Mga groups like ours, and then the Center for Media Freedom, which monitors media, and other press freedom groups na nasa loob ng Pilipinas. The second group would be those outside the Philippine press community. So these are human rights organizations, lawyers who are interested in the issue, human rights lawyers then. And then international press freedom groups. So basically when we raised the issue, ito yung mga tumulong. So it wasn't just one organization talking about it. It was the entire media community talking about it. It was the international press freedom watchdogs talking about it. And then you have lawyers and human rights groups. So yung amplification, sobrang laki na umabot sa point na withdraw yung cases. And then the journalists actually filed a countersuit. Umabot dun sa point. Kasi ang media hindi yan mahilig maghabla eh. Ba? Lalo na sa traditional mag-isip. Ang tingin nila, yung libel is really par for the course. Normal na nakukuha mo yan and it happens, no? So you just have to face it and fight it in court. Pero ito kasi sobrang dami. At saka yung premise na public figure ka eh. Dapat fair game sa criticism. Pero yon, so nag-file siya ng mga ganong cases. So pag tiningnan natin, yung champions who came out about the issue are, some of them were issue-based champions, those who believe that filing of this kind of cases ay infringement on press freedom. Pero pag pumunta ka na sa ibang issues na related sa press, hindi na siya makikialam kasi hanggang dun lang yung concern niya. And then you have the all-time champions na tumulong talaga hanggang dulo. And yung iba doon na una lang naming naka-work, no, continue to be active in a lot of the campaigns that media organizations are doing. So, na-develop sila into becoming all-time, all-season champions. So, yung ganong ginawa naming campaign dun sa criminal libel against the journalists became the template of campaigns. You mobilize outside your organization to amplify, no, to spread the message wider and faster. And a lot of people talking about it gave it really credibility. The campaign that we launched was very, very popular. No? Ang daming sumuporta hanggang sa ibang bansa. And ang pinaka malinaw na proof would be the fact na this very powerful person, winidraw niya yung case. How do you develop champions? Champions have to be cultivated. Hindi sila umuusbong mula sa wala na parang kabute. You have to be able to spot them. You have to be conscious ng pag-develop ng mga tinatawag na champions. And then when you are thinking about it, you also have to identify priority areas. Priority areas in the sense na ano yung ine-expect mo na magiging engagement ng inyong office o ng organization, and then anticipate what you will be needing. Okay naman din yung halimbawa ini-implement mo na ngayon, and then in the process nakakakita ka ng mga tao who can be your champions and you go and develop that person. But mas maganda yung nag-anticipate. Mas maganda yung meron kang projection para pag dumating na yung panahon that you're implementing the project or the issue now is there, you are prepared. You have people already who are into what you're planning to do. Tapos yung isang magandang maging champion would be former enemies or people who used to not believe in what you're doing but for some reason nagka-epiphany or nakumbinsi mo na sumuporta, sila yung madalas magandang maging champion. Kasi, as I said, yung credibility and then yung mismong pag-turn around is already a testament. May mga ilang tips lang, no, how to maintain your champions. So una, keep them in the loop. People have other things in their lives. So, kapag hindi mo sila pinapaalalahanan, nagbibigay ng pasundot-sundot that this is what's happening, nalilimutan kanila no matter how passionate they are of your issues. So, maganda kung merong regular updates. And this can be done through emails, chats, or formal meetings if you want to get them involved, no, more involved. Messaging should be targeted. When we send a message to an individual or to a group, sana naman maramdaman niya na para talaga sa kanya yung message. Kasi nakakainis yun, diba? Makakatanggap ka ng message na naka-address para sa buong madla. And then number 3, marami ngayong platforms na pwedeng gamitin. So you can try multimedia engagement or multi-platform engagement. So it's not just through emails. You have to find out where they are para dun mo sila puntahan. So if they're in Facebook or in Twitter, then that's what you do. You go to the platforms that they use. Number 4, when you are reaching out for them for help, for example, in a campaign, you have to be very clear and specific and in what you want them to do. Minsan kasi may mga sumusulat ng mga very general na ito yung situation, ito yung problem, and then tapos na. So kung gusto natin silang may gawin, mas maganda kung malinaw yung call to action. Malinaw yung ano yung specific na tulong na gusto nating gawin. So halimbawa, you want their university to be involved in a project or you want them to come up with a statement, or you want them to sign a petition, or you want them to help you to carry out this kind of project. So, dapat klaro, para din klaro sa kanila kung ano yung pwede nilang itulong. You can give them options, no? It doesn't have to be just one thing. Appreciation letters and thank you calls, napaka-importante. It makes you feel important. Tapos, hindi yung parang ginamit lang. And then, you can provide assurance that they have made the right decision to support you by, one, showing the impact of their particular action. Halimbawa, this is somebody from the media who wrote a column. You can show the feedback that you got about the column. Or you can show the impact of the project or activity that your champion participated in or supported. So, makita nila na, tama yung ginagawa nilang pagsuporta. Tapos yung huli na tip, siguro lang to, very general, pero sa experience kasi namin both sa Lingkod and in other projects, yung storytelling approach sa communication has always been more effective than yung simpleng meron kang statistics, meron kang impact statement, etc. But if you include their story of how people are impacted or paano sila natulungan or na-involved, na-engage, then mas maganda yung response. Meron, kumbaga, kumukuha ka ng emotional hook. And that thing is more powerful than any statistics. One last point. You also have to be careful about people with baggages. So, merong mga tao na pwedeng gustong-gusto nilang tumulong and would really want to speak on your behalf or even to talk about the issues. Pipiliin mo lang din sila because some people have baggages. So, pwedeng bagay sila sa isang program or isang issue, pero hindi mo sila magandang ilagay dito kasi merong certain baggage na pwedeng maka-apekto on how people will perceive yung and it will work against effective communication. So it becomes, the person itself becomes a baggage to you. So yun, medyo kailangan nating pag-isipang mabuti. Just to recap, mahalaga yung champions because meron silang very practical na tulong na nabibigay sa atin for wider reach, for faster communication, and for added credibility. It's good to have champions who are already personalities and have their own following, but let us not dismiss ordinary people because people move up the ladder. And I'm sure makakahanap ka ng lugar sa inyong communication for those kind of champions. And then we need to cultivate relationship. Hindi nangyayari yung pagiging champion ng wala lang. You have to find out, learn about them, get to know them, find out saan sila nanggagaling, bakit sila interested, bakit sila naging champion, para maging mas consolidated yung inyong relationship. And then keep the conversation going. Keep them in the loop, provide them with updates, go to where they are, do multi-platform engagement, etc. And then the best communication is really the storytelling approach. And then in developing champions, you have to identify priorities. Anong area nyo sila kailangan at kung sino yung mga prospects na pwedeng i-develop into champions. So I think that's it. Maraming salamat and good luck.